So I'm a little late on this one. I'm playing a little bit of catch up, but I finally went to the theater and saw The Marvels, the newest Marvel film, in case the title didn't clue you in on that, about Captain Marvel. Brie Larson returns as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, out in space, saving people and doing all kinds of spacey superhero stuff. And this time she is joined by two other people with similar powers. We have Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Carol Danvers' best friend, who's now all grown up and has powers of her own, portrayed by, I have to look at my notes because she's new to me, Teyonah Parris. And from the Disney Plus TV show Ms. Marvel, we have Kamala Khan, portrayed by Iman Vellani, who was a lot of fun. They're all really good. So here's the deal. I guess this film hasn't done that well, and it's unfortunate because it's really a lot of fun. I enjoyed this. It's not the end of the world, although yes, it is. I always say this about superhero movies. I was watching this and I'm like, great, this is a lower stakes Marvel movie. It's not about the end of our universe. And then at some point I go, okay, yeah, it is about the end of our universe, like every Marvel movie and every DC film. I always will say this, not that they listen to me, but it doesn't need to be about a universe-sucking vortex and the end of the world every time. It gets boring and tedious after a while. It's okay to just be a mission. We got to stop a thing. We got to make a thing happen. Somebody's going to rob a bank. We got to stop that. Oh, a big flood's coming. It doesn't have to be the end of the world every time. But anyway, the story here is, what was the story of this film? The story of this film is you have these three women who have similar powers. Something happens in the cosmos and they become interlocked, as it were, where anytime one of them uses their powers, they switch places with another one of them. This is used to wonderful, creative, and comedic and exciting effect. It was really, really cool how they did this. And eventually they learn to work together and sync their powers and use that in battle. And it's very, very cool. So you have Brie Larson. You have our Captain Marvel from the previous Captain Marvel films. There's only been one Captain Marvel film before this. And then you have Monica Rambeau, what's her name? I'm sorry, Monica Rambeau is her name. Sorry, I'm looking at IMDb over here because I'm a little shaky. I like to be respectful and use people's proper names. So Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. The deal with the Marvel movies too, and I don't know if this hurts this one for anybody, is that you got to watch all the Marvel stuff to understand all the Marvel stuff because it all intertwines. And it used to be you just needed to see all the movies. Even if you didn't really want to see the movies, you knew that it was going to interact and interconnect with the next movie. Like the Thor movies, I didn't really care until Ragnarok. I didn't really care for the Thor movies, but I felt like I had to see them as homework because what happens in that comes into play in another film. Now you have the Disney Plus TV series. For a while you had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, which I never watched because it seemed like a big commitment that I wasn't that interested in, and that kind of intersected with the movies. But now you have these Disney Plus shows that go back and forth with the films, and there's a lot. Thankfully, they're usually good, and they're usually a short run of episodes, but it's a lot of content to stay on top of. I did watch the Ms. Marvel show about the Kamala Khan character because I knew it was going to come into play for this movie, and I really liked it. I think she's super likable. It's a really fun show. It's gorgeous to look at, and it's cool. I'm all for superheroes from every walk of life, and it really digs into the Indian culture that she's from on that show. And so this film brings her into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it brings her family into it. And I think you can understand this movie fine if you haven't seen the other stuff. I just think it probably helps if you have, because they make a lot of references to other things. But what I always say is Hollywood does not make movies to exclude anybody intellectually. They want to make sure everybody understands it. So you could go into a part 3 of most films without having seen 1 and 2, and it's not that hard to follow what's going on. They're going to bend over backwards into pretzels to make sure everybody in those seats understands what's going on. This has a few things that I think probably would go over people's heads, maybe unnoticed, maybe not. If you hadn't seen the other films. I'm a person who enjoys the Marvel stuff. I watch the shows for the most part. I go see the movies as they come out, but I don't rewatch any of it. If you're a Marvel fan, I don't know how you have time to rewatch any of it because the new stuff is constantly coming out. But I don't retain a lot from the previous films. So some of the relationship, which they do show you, between Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau was a little tenuous for me. They do show something about what they called the blip in the movies, which was in I don't even remember which movie it was. One of the Avengers movies where like half the world's population just turns to dust and goes away, and later they come back. Sorry if I ruined that for anybody. They reference that in this movie, and I think if you had not seen those other films, that might have been like, huh? But other than that, the film is pretty easy to follow. It's good guys versus bad guys, or in this case, good girls versus bad girls. And I mean, when I say girls, I mean ladies. And when I say ladies, I mean women. And I'm sorry. This was a lot of fun. It was very zippy. It was light in tone. There was some good drama. There was some good interpersonal stuff. There's the theme of abandonment and regret and redemption and all that. But ultimately, it's three people with diverse powers trying to figure out how to use them together and stop the end of the world. And it was fun. So I enjoyed it. Samuel L. Jackson is in it as Nick Fury. I'm just looking through this this cast list to see if anybody else is very well known. Not really. It's people from the other Marvel films. The basic storyline is that this evil woman, who may have been in a Marvel film before, I don't remember, she gets this bangle, and I don't mean the 80s rock group. She gets this big bracelet on her arm that gives her powers that she's been looking for to try to enact revenge on the alien race that they've been warring with. It's the Kree and the Skrull. It's this thing that goes in Marvel Comics back to the 60s that I believe was heavily used in the first Captain Marvel film. And she's looking to get revenge on this other race, and the other bracelet that goes with the one that this evil woman finds is the one that gives Kamala Khan her powers. So it's this, I need the bracelet, give me the thing, I need the thing, you can't have the thing will give me all the power. It's a story we've seen before, but it was really fun, visually very interesting. Definitely a big screen experience. I am, several weeks late to this, unfortunately, so I saw it on not the biggest screen possible, but a pretty big screen. If you can hear me saying this, yes, it's going to be on Disney Plus probably a week after this video comes out, but I really think it's a big screen experience. Great sound, good use of directional sound, which not a lot of films use. I often notice that in theaters. It stands out to me when a film uses surround sound and things are coming from all around me, because that's modern technology we have, and very few films use it very much. This movie uses it really well. So let me talk about the cat for a second. So I'm not going to spoil anything with this, but toward the end of the original Captain Marvel movie, if you've seen it, there's a little cat that's in the film, and it does something very surprising and funny and kind of gross. And that was a big moment in that film. Well, that's a big moment about 50 times in this film. It didn't really bother me. It's one of those things where, well, now we know the cat can do this, let's utilize that. But it did seem to lean on it a little bit. Like, they did it again and again and again. And it became a major plot point. That was pretty funny. That had me laughing out loud. And I don't laugh out loud much in the theater, but they utilized this thing this cat can do at a very important moment in the film. That was pretty funny. So it's very light in tone. It's very good. Great movie. Great mother-daughter film. Great father-son film, too, really. But it is nice to see, a nice, strong female lead in the film. And a superhero that's cool. I hope we see a lot more. The problem with these Marvel films is they take so long to make, and when an actor gets one of these roles, it's like the James Bond thing. A lot of the Bond actors wind up souring on the role because it's like all they do. Part of it is that's all they're going to be known for, but part of it is like, I kind of want to do other things, and I'm kind of busy doing this one thing all the time. And I always worry that when you get somebody who's really good in one of these Marvel films and a really good character, and they can only make so many of these, they can't do 10 Captain Marvel movies in a row because they kind of have to service all the other characters in these major storylines and all that. But you kind of wish, can we get at least 5 of these? Can you somehow just make a bunch of good ones and not have it be the person aging out of the character and not wanting to do it anymore? Because I always feel like with some of these Marvel movies, we don't get enough. We had Captain America in a bunch of movies, and now Captain America isn't a thing anymore. But boy, I would have liked a couple more of them. They're not quickies, unfortunately. So, if you go see this, special effects are excellent, acting is excellent. Iman Vellani is really super fun in this film. I mean, as they all are. They're all great, and they all have their moments of drama and comedy and pathos and all that. And it's just good soundtrack. There's a couple of really great action sequences in this film. There's a really fun sequence where they're on the spaceship out in space, and they're figuring out how to sync their powers, and they're like jumping rope and throwing balls to each other and trying to just work as a team. That's really wonderful. And there is a mid-credits sequence that a lot of people who saw this film, thankfully nobody spoiled it. It's very rare I try to see movies the week they come out or the day they come out. preferably like the first matinee, the first day they come out, especially for a big Marvel film like this, because I'm always afraid I'm going to be scrolling on one of the socials and everybody's just going to be like posting pictures and videos and spoilers everywhere. People love to do that. Happily, maybe because this movie hasn't done that well, nobody's done that. A few people said, "Oh my God, the surprise was amazing. The surprise blew my mind." So I was really wondering during the movie, I'm like, what are they going to do? They're going to bring like Superman in this? Have they like digitally resurrected Christopher Reeve? Are they going to do something really crazy? And what they do isn't really crazy. It points to probably what one of the next Marvel movies is going to be in the next couple of years. It'll make a lot of people very happy. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is a mid-credit sequence. There is no post-credit sequence in the Marvels. There is a thing at the very end of the credits that's like a sound effect as a joke, but honestly, if you really have to go to the bathroom, once that mid-credit sequence happens, you're free to go. There really isn't anything notable at the end of the film that's going to connect to the next one or give you a clue to a character or anything like that. So, in theaters now, but by the time I finish saying this video, it's probably on video and on streaming on Disney+. Well worth watching. It's somewhat inconsequential in the grand scheme of the gravitas of some of these Marvel movies, but it's fun, and that's okay. That's what I liked about the first two Ant-Man movies. They're fun, and that's okay. The Marvels.